Hey folks, today I wanted to address something on setting up my carrier assembly, and I watched a handful of YouTube videos already out there because I didn't want to post redundant stuff if there was plenty of info. And there's plenty of info setting up your backlash on between your ring and pinion, but not a lot on your carrier bearing preload. Almost like it just magically happens. There was one video where the guy says you go 2 notches and that's your preload. I initially set my ring gear and pinion backlash to what was it? I set it to about 6 thousandths. Okay, knowing that when I spread the case for the carrier bearing preload, it was probably going to get me to the 8 to 12 thousandths that I was looking for. Well, when I did that method with the 2 notch, using a hammer and a punch, because it gets hard to spin. When I checked my backlash, and you could hear and feel the excessive gap, it was at 15 thousandths. So what I'm trying to say is your carrier bearing preload is going to affect your backlash adjustment. So right now I've got this set up at 0 backlash on the ring and pinion. So 0 backlash, and I'm going to attempt to do my carrier bearing preload, and then I'll recheck my backlash, and hopefully that gets me into the spec. Couple things. So to initially turn your adjusting nuts, I've got this AC compressor spanner wrench that you can adjust, and that works, to get you to like 0 lash basically, or right up against the bearing cups. But any more than that, and it kind of wants to twist and flex. Also, they'll bind. Make sure you put a light coat of your gear oil. I just used an old sports bottle and put some gear lube on the races and the bearings, so you get a little more accurate reading, and so they spin and they don't bind. But also, don't be afraid to tap with a rubber mallet or a dead blow hammer there, to settle the bearings. And you'll be surprised, it does settle the bearings, and it'll spin smoother. So I got my dial indicator here. This is not, I'll show you what the book has a special tool or adapter that you use on there. But so to spin these nuts, I made this is just a Lisle fan blade wrench. You put sockets on there, but it gives me the leverage I need to tighten the nuts on there. And I drilled 2 holes. This is some hardened steel. I ruined a few bits just to drill out to 1/4 inch. But just put some nuts and bolts, and they'll go in the holes there, and then I'll be able to turn it to get my preload smoothly without tapping it with a hammer and a punch. But so going to the factory manual, they got this whole special tool attachment for your dial indicator. Well, I don't, and I don't have that tool, and I don't have a fixture. You know, we're doing this on a bench like probably 90% of us, you know, will do, and I've got this set up the best I can with just, you know, my basic dial indicator up against here. Essentially should be measuring about the same thing and get us in the ballpark. I want to point out the manual. When I rebuilt this 20 years ago, I had new bearings, so I was going down here. The new bearing carrier preload is 8 to 12 thousandths. But I'm using the old bearings, there's nothing wrong with them. So I'm gonna go for this new spec with what they're called original bearings of 5 to 8 thousandths preload on there. And then here, and the backlash we're looking for is 8 to 12 thousandths. All right, with a difference of 3 thousandths, you know, when you measure, you know, at 4 different points or spots on your ring gear. So without any further ado, I'm going to switch the camera around best as I can by myself so you can see the dial indicator as I tighten this, so bear with me.